What's up, students? Thanks so much for joining us for Student Night. My name is David, and I'm one of the student directors here at Cedar Creek. I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like everything in life changes so quickly and so often. In fact, there's a quote that I found the other day which I think sums up how I often feel about change. And it goes, "The only thing that never changes is that everything changes." Pretty relatable, right? As students, you're used to change. You change classes all the time. You probably have different teachers this year than you did last year or last semester. You see people graduate every year, and you see new students show up every year. You've seen your body change, your friend groups change, and your view on certain things change. And let's just be honest, some changes are awesome and some changes are awful. But like it or not, change happens. Change is inevitable. It's simply a part of life, especially in junior high and high school. There's no guarantee that the way things were before will stay the way things are. In fact, you can guarantee the opposite. The way things were before will never stay the way things are now. And in between, change happens. Whether you like it, love it, hate it, or feel numb about it, it's a reality. You can't escape it, numb it, or make it change or go away. Change is uncomfortable. Today we're going to talk about something that has potential to be a game changer for us when it comes to the way we view change. You see, people have been struggling with how to handle change forever. When you open up the pages of the Bible and read from the writers God used to tell his story, you'll see that they too struggled with the idea of change. They went through a lot of the same stuff we all go through: loss, broken relationship, heartbreak, uncertainty, insecurity, and so much more. And many of them wrestled with the question of how they could trust Jesus when their lives seemed to be a constant series of unwanted and unexpected changes. Sound familiar? Many of these authors had helpful things to say about dealing with change, including the author of Hebrews. Hebrews is a letter written to a group of Jewish people who had become Jesus followers, and they were learning how to follow Jesus in their Jewish way of living in the world. Most likely, the recipients of this letter were facing unfair treatment and hostility and were threatened to be killed for their belief in Jesus. And because of that, much of this book is focused on who Jesus is and how following him was not just a good idea, but the best idea, no matter how bad things got. To offer hope to these persecuted men and women, the author writes, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. To put it plainly, Jesus never changes. He's always the same. The loving, kind, generous, patient, gentle person he was in the past is the same person he is today and the same person he will be in the future. So with that in mind, here's a corrected and better version of the quote I shared at the beginning. The only thing that never changes is that everything changes, except Jesus. In a world marked by constant change, this is so reassuring to me. This means that Jesus doesn't change even if everything around us does. It means when everything around us feels unstable, Jesus isn't. When everything around us feels inconsistent, Jesus isn't. When everything around us and everyone around us seems different or like they can't understand, Jesus does. So why is this so important? Let me explain it to you this way. Have you ever seen a huge tree? Maybe you've seen one of those in your backyard, or maybe you've seen it out in a park somewhere, or you've seen one on TV. I'm talking about those big, like redwood, sturdy trees with tons of branches and big, bulky leaves. What is it that keeps that tree in the ground? That tree is secured into the ground and holds steady in its place because of its roots. So every season when the weather changes and when the wind blows, when the ice comes, the rain falls, the sun beats down, the fog covers it, the drought hits, the tree isn't moved. With all that change happening around it, it would be easy to think that that tree would just fall down and give up, but it doesn't. It's rooted in place no matter what change happens around it. And that's what an unchanging God does for us. He keeps us rooted or stable. When we're focused on Him, the one who never changes, we're able to stay steady and secure like a tree that's unshakable and unbreakable when everything around us feels unsteady and insecure. Jesus doesn't change when everything else and everyone else around us does. When we are rooted in Jesus and are experiencing change, it doesn't mean that we are all of a sudden happy with every difficult circumstance or change that comes our way. It does mean that we can trust Jesus' commitment to us to not change even while we are in the middle of a difficulty or a disappointment. We can know that Jesus' love and His purpose and presence doesn't change, and that He can use any change, even the bad change, for good because He's always faithful. And that never changes. No matter what happens in our life, no matter what change we're facing, we can count on the one who never changes. We can be rooted in Jesus. When nothing else feels stable, Jesus is. And when we have trust in Jesus, who never changes, whatever difficulty change brings, there is a peace we can experience anyways. Here's a simple phrase that I'd love for you to remember. Jesus doesn't change even if, and fill in the blank for yourself. He's a solid, unmovable ground on which we can root our lives. That's why, no matter what change is happening around us, we can remain secure when our eyes are fixed on Him. It was true back then when the writer of Hebrews said it, and it's still true today. But what does that mean for you? It means that even if things are unpredictable, out of your control, or just crazy, Jesus never changes. Even if the things will never be the same because of a death in your family, permanent injury, a chronic health issue, or otherwise, Jesus never changes. Even if what lies ahead is scary or new territory, Jesus never changes. And on top of all that, you can keep in mind that one of the things about God that never changes is His love for you, no matter what change you are facing. He will always love you. He will always care about you, and He's always with you when things are going steady and when things are going poorly, when there's been change all around you. So the next time you're experiencing change in your life, and you certainly will, you don't have to be uprooted by insecurity or fear or frustration. Instead, you can remain steady and stable by staying rooted in an unchanging Jesus. To help you do that, I want you to try just one thing. I want you to remember a time that Jesus was faithful to you in the past, and remember a time when you felt His love in your life. Remember a time when you saw His goodness. Remember those things in your life. Then write them down. And remember that same Jesus who was there with you when those things happened is the same Jesus who is with you now. If Jesus was faithful and committed to you in that circumstance or season of life, He will be with you, and you can stay rooted in Him in this season of life. He will be faithful for you forever after. For those of you who aren't sure what you believe in Jesus or don't know if you've seen Him to be faithful, that's okay. Or for those of you who are in the middle of some difficult change or circumstance where it's hard to imagine that God can be faithful to you in the middle of it, that's okay too. All of us have been there at some point, me too. Just think about a time in your life when something really good happened. Write that down and remember it. Or ask your small group leader to share a story from their life, a story where God came through for them in a really tough time. Use those stories as a starting point to consider the fact that Jesus might be working in and around your life too. Jesus doesn't change, even if. That's an incredible thing to remember. He was the same before, and He'll be the same after. As we head to group, remember, this is one of the reasons why we meet together, to encourage each other to remember the things that are true about Jesus when nothing else feels secure. Use your group time to encourage each other to remember the things about Jesus that never change. And remember, Jesus doesn't change, even